Hello sewing friends, and in particular perhaps Penrose quilting friends, as I am assuming that if you're watching this you are interested in that, or perhaps you've already watched one or two of my earlier videos on this subject in the playlist. If you haven't watched them, I want to say don't bother. Far be it for me to say don't watch my videos, but I did make a complete mess of it. I got some Rhombus templates from the internet when I decided to make a quilt like this. Somehow I decided that I needed one of the shapes plus a square with the same length side. So that's one of the shapes I received from what I ordered off the internet, which was a diamond shape plus a square with a side the same length. And how wrong I was. In the process of trying to sort this out, I ended up putting a query into ChatGPT. I never thought that I would use this, but I had seen it in another video, and whereby you could ask it to write a video description for you. My day job involves writing, summarising and rewording things. So I thought that this was the last thing that I would ever need. However, I have used it on a couple of videos and I'm amazed at it. So I decided to show ChatGPT the picture that I've just shown you, and I was amazed to receive a full analysis of what made up the pattern. I've had previously, about a year ago, I tried to make a Penrose quilt and gave up. And I found that you can find lots of pictures of them, but you don't always find in the picture, or if you buy or download a tiling template like this, you're not always told what makes up the shape. And you can do what I did mistakenly, think you know, and you start using some shapes and actually they're not right. When I realised that I was trying to make the quilt with the wrong sized pieces, I found that's actually quite hard to buy the correct templates. Having found out what they were, I couldn't buy them, and it was actually hard to even download a ready-made shape, weirdly. So I put that query into ChatGPT, and amongst other things I found out that yes, it is hard to do that. So I asked it to draw me the shapes that it was describing based on the analysis of the quilt. And lo and behold, it did. It said, here's the shapes for you. So then it said also which format do you want them in? And I said, and then it said, I can't do that for you right now. What I can give you is a piece of Python code, which is a computer language, which I have heard of, and you can run it yourself. And instead of it being in, I think it was US letter paper, it'll be on A4, which is what I wanted. I literally couldn't believe my eyes. Now, in a previous life, I did a bit of programming, and I thought that I would never ever do any again. And it was such fun to use that code, even though it was just code that had been handed to me on a plate. So if you're doing a geometric or Penrose quilt, I highly recommend, whether you use ChatGPT or similar, or the old methods. Excuse me, I'm reading this because I wanted to make sure I got it right. I don't normally write the scripts at all. To make absolutely sure of the shapes and the angles, etc., before you begin, however you do that. So just to be clear, this quilt that I'm showing you, that I'm making, that this was my inspiration for making it. And just to be clear, I will put all the information in the description, but this shape here that I've shown you is made up of these two shapes. And that is a thin, I'm calling them a thin and a thick rhombus. So the thick one has angles of 108 degrees and 72 degrees. So that's 108, that's 108, that's 72, that's 72. And the thinner shape, I'm calling it the thin rhombus, has angles of 144 degrees and 36 degrees. So obviously that is 144 degrees and that's 36 degrees. So you can get your geometry set out if you want and make it yourself. Just draw it, if you're good at drafting things, or you can do what I did in the end. I used ChatGPT and I never thought that I would use it, and I've been blown away by it, to be really honest with you. So to get out of the massive quilt fail that I've been in, I've had to do the following. I've changed my room round so that I can easily use my Treadle sewing machine. So that might seem a bit convoluted, but in the course of this process, I had some helpful suggestions from people. And one of them, because one of my struggles was, should I do it paper piecing or on the sewing machine? I wanted to try and do it on the sewing machine. But then somebody suggested, well, why don't you do it on your Treadle, because it will be easier. And I have tried it, and it is. I've done a practice bit, and it is. So I've changed the room around. And in fact, the other suggestion that came through in the comments was to cut the squares. I thought they were squares, they're not. To cut the squares in half, and that would give you a long run of sewing that you could do on the sewing machine. And it was whilst I was trying to fit that together and work out whether I could do that, that was when I realised that I was actually using the wrong shapes. So thank you for that comment, but the fault was mine, really. Then I made those correct templates, which I've just shown to you. So I downloaded the shapes that was given to me by ChatGPT, and then I transferred that onto that plastic, and I've made my own templates. I downloaded another design sheet, which is also free, and I'll link that in the description. That's these. So that's one I filled in, but I've printed a few, so I've got something to play with. And then I've replanned the quilt based on the fabric that I've got available. And if you have watched the earlier episodes of this, you'll know that it's one of a number of quilts I'm making. Therefore, I'm not just going to go out and buy more fabric. I've got all these triangles and diamonds, and I'm going to be able to rework it so that I can use what I've already cut out, most of it. And what I might do, depending on the size of the quilt, I might morph into just triangles and squares as I move out to the outer limits of the quilt, simply so that I can use those bits up. So I've kind of redesigned it based on that. And then I've cut the pieces I need. So I got the design sheet, and this quilt I'm making, it's for somebody who's car mad, and I've ordered it's like a stylised Porsche painting in fabric, and it's a panel, it's a quilt panel, and it's coming from America and it hasn't arrived yet. It's about 12 inches by 16, so that's going. This is the scale, gives you an idea of the scale. It will almost cover the central part of the pattern. So I've actually designed it so that that's white, so that I don't waste some of my good fabric on that bit that's going to be covered up. How I'm going to applique that on yet, I'm not really sure, but I'm sure it'll work out. And then I've worked out how much I need of each of the other colours. So when you first see it like this, well, I don't know about you, but it actually makes me go a bit dizzy looking at that, trying to pick out the patterns. The minute you start in the middle, and if you identify that 5-pointed flower or star, whatever you want to call it, and perhaps shade that in one colour, and then you move outwards, you start to see that it is a pattern, but the point of a Penrose tile is it's non-repeating. I think they call it aperiodic. So there is a pattern to it, but it's doesn't end. You see what I mean? It's hard to explain. I'm not a mathematician, but just doing that and colouring them in is really quite amazing. And you think it's simple because it's only got 2 shapes in it, but it's not. And that's the beauty of it, I suppose. If I was a mathematician, I'd be able to explain it better, but that's the beauty of it. So if you've watched my other videos on other quilts, you'll know that I like to make things up as I go along, and I quite like solving the problems as I go along. And this is the complete opposite of that. I've been forced to literally make it so that I'm doing quilting by numbers now, and I'm actually fine with it on this occasion because I really want the pattern, and I'm not going to get it by just winging it. So it's been a lesson for me, definitely. Right. so that's what I've had to do to fix this problem. So I'm ready to start. But this here, this parcel here, if you've watched my last few videos on other quilts and where I've talked about what I'm going to be doing over the next few months to make my quilts for Christmas, I've ordered some nice fabrics. Now, I'm dying to open this, but literally when I walked in here this morning, there are bits of purple and blue and turquoise triangle cut fabric all over the place. And if I open this, it's so much easier to just start making one of the other ones with this, and I'll leave that, it won't get done. So I'm not allowing myself to open that until I've got at least as far as the third, fourth circuit out of here in this, and I know that I'm on the right track with the quilt. So that's what this video is going to be made up of, and if you've carried on watching this far without falling asleep or giving up, then well done. But I hope you enjoy watching, and I hope if you're thinking of making a quilt, I've given you some pointers. I'll put all the details in the description, and I hope it encourages you to make one of your own. So the first thing to do is to make the middle star, which I'm now going to do on the quilt, on the Treadle sewing machine. At last, making some proper progress. Feels like it's been a bit of a marathon to get here, but hopefully you can see the pattern building, and this white bit in the middle is going to be covered up. But so I'm on to the next row, circle, layer, whatever you want to call it. So I've got up to here, up to there. So I feel like I can leave it now, and I've fixed it and I'm ready to go. So, and also this seems to be working. So thank you again to the person who left the comment, because I don't think I would ever have tried it if you hadn't said. So I'm very grateful, and I think I'm actually getting somewhere now. I've kind of fought shy of doing the corners because I don't want to mess that up. I might do the joins by hand. That's no problem doing that. So this means I'm now allowed to open my parcel. Before I do that, I just want to say thanks for watching, and I hope I've helped. Wondering if I have. But I hope you've enjoyed watching anyway. I will be carrying on with the quilt top for the Penrose quilt, and there'll be another instalment of that shortly. And then I'll be getting on with these ones, the ones I bought this fabric for. Oh, it's so nice. Oh, isn't it just lovely getting new fabric? Oh, how lovely is that? Oh. Right, more of the fabric, less of me. Next, got a little tape measure, bow around it. How gorgeous is that? So this is a bundle of fairy fabric. That's for one quilt. Oh, look, little. Gorgeous is that? Little glow in the dark fairies. And little stars. Look at that. Can't wait to work. You see why I didn't open it? Hang on. Can you see why I didn't open it? Because if I had, I'd have just got on with these. Look at that with the shooting stars. That's that one. Then I got some planets. It feels lovely too. Then I've got a similar one. This is just the same series as the undersea one. I think they've both got glow in the dark elements in them. And then I got, I didn't know if I bought so much of that. I wish you could feel it. It is just the most lovely fabric. I'm just so happy. So if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe, because you can watch all these other quilts as well. But either way, thanks for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed it. Bye for now.